My fellow evaluators, it's not about you. When we evaluate at church, at home, at work, at Toastmasters, it's not about you. It's about the people we serve, helping them in their journey toward excellence, people we respect, people we're going to be telling the truth, demonstrating our integrity. It does no one any good to say, "That was the greatest speech I've ever heard." That doesn't help anyone in their lifetime of learning. It's not even a pretense of an evaluation when someone says that. So, the first part of evaluating, the Toastmasters or elsewhere, is attitude. Your attitude. And the first 4 things to remember are the 4 Toastmaster values. Integrity, respect, service, excellence. You start with those 4 values and live them throughout the day, you're ahead of the game. When Pat's working at people at the development workshop, if she doesn't respect someone, they'll know it. Think about when you've gotten feedback at work. Do you prefer getting feedback from someone who respects you or someone who thinks you're a loser? So we start with attitude. As my wife used to remind me, the fact that she doesn't, I think, is a good sign. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So, lesson number 1 on evaluations, attitude. Now, if you got the right attitude, you got the 4 Toastmaster values, some points that I've written down, distributed, on what we call evaluations. Understand the person's objectives. When I've had students, for example, and they come to me with a problem or a question, often the first thing I will come back with is, what were you trying to do? What was your objective? It is Toastmaster evaluation. What is the evaluation's, the speaker's objectives? If I tell the audience through the Toastmaster's introduction that this is a really, really polished speech, and I'm working on it for competition, evaluate it on that basis. If the Toastmaster on my behalf tells the audience that this is a rough draft, I want comments on the big picture and not yet on the details, evaluate it on that basis. If I tell you that it's a rough draft, and you give me a whole bunch of little picky points, you're not helping me. Understand the objectives. Number 2, listen. Seems obvious, but every so often I'll get nudged at meetings with, what did they say? What did he say? People aren't able to listen. Who's had music appreciation in, say, in high school? I highly recommend it. If any of you are going back to school, take a music appreciation course. One of the things that's a lifetime of learning for me from music, which I now have taken into Toastmasters, is my teacher taught us how to simultaneously listen for the individual instruments. What was percussion doing? What were the violins doing? What's the guitar doing? As well as the whole picture. The same thing with the speech. In fact, everything. It's important to understand the details, the different bits and pieces that are going on, the body language for a speech, vocal variety for a speech, as well as the overall effect. Evaluate the performance, not the person. If someone gives a not-so-great speech, that doesn't make him a not-so-great person. Point 4, an evaluation is a communication. One of the things I've handed out here is the ballot for the evaluation contest, which is coming up. Mr. Vice President of Education, have we got a schedule for that?
We know when our B1 contest is going to be September 11th.
So we have to be before that.
So we have to be before that.
We have 2 contests this season. One is humorous, the other is evaluation. So if you look at the ballot, more than half of the ballot for judging the evaluation contest is giving a good speech. Okay? Now, down to the details. Reinforce positive behavior. Sometimes people will say that as say something positive. It's more helpful if what you focus on is what did you observe that you want to reinforce. Okay, so and again, that's Toastmaster or not Toastmaster. Reinforce positive behavior. Especially note use of the skills associated with whatever the objectives were. The person's working on vocal variety and you see good vocal variety, say so. Suggest some improvements. Not a whole lot. People can't absorb a whole lot, especially when they're in front of a whole bunch of folks. And focus on the lesson at hand. Again, Toastmaster or not Toastmaster. If appropriate, give concrete examples to demonstrate what you mean. See, it's important for you to figure out, does the person not, there's 1 of 3 possibilities. Does the person not understand the skill, in which case you need to demonstrate? Does the person use the skill part of the time, but not other parts of the time? In which case you want to point that out as an encouragement. It says, you know, gee, you had great vocal variety at the end, but not so much at the beginning. Or, does a person have the skill, but they need to go further with it? So that's part of music appreciation, is going underneath the surface. So does the person just not show any sign of understanding the skill? Are they using it part of the time, not part of the time? Or do they need to do more? Like, oh, you had good vocal variety, now my challenge to you is take it even farther. So you're giving people encouragement that they've gotten part way, now stretch their boundaries, go even farther with it. For a newer speaker, spend more time on reinforcement. For a more seasoned speaker, or people who've lost more of their hair, focus more on improvements. And if you don't know anything else to say, you can always talk about how you reacted emotionally to the talk, but you don't go into examples on the content. For example, if Marty gives a talk attacking, shall we say, a Democrat, not that he would ever do that, but let's say he did, and I get up and I start arguing with him in my evaluation, that's inappropriate. I want to talk about how he engaged the audience or didn't engage the audience, but I don't want to start into an argument on content. That's not what an evaluation is for. Finally, you summarize and end on a positive note. And you do that every time you give feedback, Toastmaster or not Toastmaster. I'll tell you, as district director, I'm giving, in a sense, feedback to people every day. Always end on a positive note. And if there's any possible doubt, then you summarize what the message was that you're trying to deliver. And indeed, in the evaluation ballot, you get 15 points for a summary. And if you leave it out, you've just kissed 15 points away in the contest. So these are some musings on evaluations. Start with the right attitude. I've seen people go farther in evaluation contests with the right attitude than with the right detailed techniques. People can spot if you're trying to help them, or help whoever the speaker is. We evaluate every day of our lives. Take what you've learned in Toastmasters and apply it.